I'm Sergeant Andy Chambers. I'm from the Royal Air Force recruiting team. My role within the RAF is I am police by trade, but I specialise in counterintelligence. So why am I talking to you today? Because I'm not like what a lot of the rest have been education establishments for you to go on to. However, you can join the RAF after you've left year 11 at 16. We have roles that you can start applying straight from 16, where you don't need any GCSEs, all the way up to needing 5 GCSEs, having English, maths and science at grade 4 and above. The reason I'm here today is with our roles, we do offer an apprenticeship. The benefit of being in the military and having an apprenticeship is we'll give you a full-time pay as well as whilst you're training. So from day one, you'll start on roughly about 15,000, but by the end of the first 12 months, it goes up to 18,000. So although general apprenticeship is average pay of about 8,500 to 9,000 a year, by the end of the first year, you're going to be earning £18,000 a year. So you're nearly double that of a normal apprenticeship. The way an apprenticeship works with us, because it is slightly different, is you'll do 10 weeks as at RAF Holton, which is called your phase 1 training. This is where we'll turn you from being a civilian into being an airman or airwoman. On this 10 weeks you'll do 10 weeks, as I said, there'll be a week adventurous training in there. There'll be 2 weeks of what we call your green phase. This is where you learn how to use a weapon. You'll get to practice with it on a range. You'll use your respirator, which you might know as a gas mask. You will try this in a chamber, so you'll have confidence that it does work. And trust me, if you listen to the advice and training that's given, they are very good bits of kit and you will be fine. And then they'll also teach you how to live in the field, how to look after your kit, and how to make sure that you keep yourself clean, because cleaner you keep yourself, less likely is that you're going to get any infections or diseases when you are away from your home unit. Because if you keep yourself clean, you're not going to get ill, and then you're not going to become a burden on the rest of your team. Other than that, you'll learn about the RAF history. You learn how to look after the military uniform. You'll learn about our rank structure. You'll also do quite a lot of sport and fitness exercising. And then you'll do a bit of a parade, which is your drill, your marching. And then at the end of the 10 weeks, you'll have a pass out. On this pass out, you'll hopefully, post-COVID, you'll have your pet friends and family come watch you. However, I believe at the minute they're doing it virtually, so your friends and family can dial in and still watch you graduate. It's not the same, but fingers crossed, COVID sorts of eases and we can get back to the good parts where we can get the families down to watch you actually do the graduation parades, because it is quite good. It is quite a good feeling. You get a lot of pride when you're marching out in your uniform. So once you've done that 10 weeks, once you've learned the basics of how to be an airman or airwoman, you'll then go off and do your phase 2 training. Depending what trade you choose, depends on the length of this phase 2 training, and also depends on where you go. Generally, if you want to go down the engineering route, you'll go to RAF Cosford. Majority of these courses are up to 18 months long. Obviously, there is a lot of technical training you've got to do, and we've got to make sure that we get you to a good standard. Once you finish your technical phase 2, you'll go to a unit, you'll have a mentor, and they'll slowly build you up with your workload, making sure that you've got the ability to do it, you're doing it safely, and it's in a controlled environment to make sure that you are good. Once they're happy, they'll sign off your apprenticeship, and that'll be you, all finished, all signed off with all the qualifications. All the qualifications are all your MVQs that you'll get if you went to college. So qualification-wise, it's the same that you'd get on general apprenticeships. We mirror the same. We are Ofsted inspected, just like your schools and colleges. So we have to deliver the training up to that same standard. The only trade where it's slightly different is our cyberspace communications specialist role. This is our sort of our IT role. All their qualifications are your Microsoft and Cisco-based qualifications. So they're really trade specific. So yes, they're really good once you leave the military. However, they're also really good whilst you're in the military. So they're sort of setting you up. If computer world is where you're wanting to go for your career long term, these will really set you up in a good place. And if you wanted to go off and do a computer degree later on in life, they're a good starting block. They are similar levels to your A levels, so don't think that you're being dropped down or anything. They are A level equivalents. It's just they're more computer specific, and they'll be really specific to the sort of work you're doing. Rather than a general IT qualification, there will be unique qualifications. So it is slightly different there, but with all the other trades, it is all your MVQs. So you will be getting qualifications. So if you did decide to leave, you can leave and go work in the same industry, and you've got the base qualifications. So some of the benefits, from day one, we'll give you a 12-year contract. Now, don't be scared. This doesn't mean you have to commit to a full 12 years. All that means is you have got a job and it is safe for 12 years. So no matter what's happening outside, you've got that job secure for 12 years. If you complete training and you think, do you know what, it's not for me, it's not quite what I was expecting, you can leave. We're not going to make you fulfill that full 12 years. It's just like any job. You've got to give notice and then you're able to leave. For us, there is a return of service. So once you complete your phase 2 training, you have to do about 18 months and then you can leave. That's where you first can leave if you're wanting to. So it's sort of around the 4.5 year mark. So yes, it is a big commitment, but with all the training we're going to give you, all the qualifications, we do need some of it back. However, we're not going to hold you prisoner. If you join, do phase 1 training, think, actually, this ain't for me, you can leave quite soon there. It's a couple of days. And during that couple of days, it's just so we can make sure that you get paid for the days you've done and make sure that you're leaving and able, that it is the right decision. So we give you a couple of days just to make sure, yep, it is what you're making the right decision, and then we'll let you leave. If you do leave and think in a year's time or 2 years' time, do you know what? I think that is right for me. I do want to go back. You can always rejoin at a later date. Not everyone joins at 16. So I didn't join until I was 20. And the beautiful thing with our training system, so it doesn't matter what age you are when you join, everyone does the same training. So we all get treated the same from day one all the way through training, no matter whether you're 16 or 38. Everyone gets treated the same. The only, I'd say it's a benefit, it's probably more of a disadvantage. If you are older, you're expected to be a bit more mature, so you do get a bit more responsibility, and you may have to be appointed to just keep an eye on the younger ones, just to make sure that they're okay. If they're having any issues, that they've got someone that they can talk to, or if they're feeling homesick or that, someone that's going through the same that they could talk to, just to see if it is something that they could work out. So that's your training pipeline going into your career. Now I'll talk about different roles. As I've already mentioned, we've got the cyberspace communications specialist. Like I said, these are our computer experts. These do everything from your computer install to your local network setups. They also do a bit of script writing and ethical hacking. So depending what your sort of computer work you're interested in, there's probably a lot there that you can dig your teeth into and get a lot of experience in. Or if you want to experience different roles within the Air Force, you can move around jobs. So once you join, you're not fixed. That's your job. If you join and you get pointed to a computer install unit and you do that for a couple of years and think, do you know what, I want to go to the ethical hacking side. As long as it's in your career field, you can switch between roles within that. So for me, police is broken up into your general police duties, your counterintelligence, your dog world, and then your special investigators. So I've got 4 areas where I can sort of advance through. I did general police duties when I first come out of training. Out of training with police, you get 2 options, general police or police dogs. I chose the policing route. And then as you progress, you get to sort of choose the other options once you get to learn a bit more about what they actually do and you can do secondments, so you go and experience them to see if it is somewhere you want to go work. So for me, like I said, I did general policing for the first few years. When I got promoted to full corporal, I decided I wanted to go down the counterintelligence route. Whilst I did this, I was working alongside MI5, SO19, Met Police, and other national police agencies, looking at the counterterrorism threat levels and threat mitigating targeting. So we were just looking at how could terrorism affect the UK, how could terrorism affect military establishments, and what measures could we put in place to mitigate any sort of terrorist activity. So a lot of the work I did early on is we identified that the most likely form of terrorist attack in the UK would be by a bladed weapon or vehicles. Obviously, more recently in the last 3 to 4 years, you will notice that if you look quite across Europe, the most common method is either a vehicle or bladed weapon. This is because it's easier to get hold of them things without it looking suspicious. And if you try build a bomb, it's highly likely that A, unless you're a qualified bomb maker, you probably either burn yourself or it'll blow up inside in your face, and B, it's more likely that you'll get found out because trying to build a bomb takes time. You've got to buy specific materials. Once you get identified, it's more likely that you'll get caught doing that method. So that's how I got into it, and that's how we benefit the bigger picture. So we'll go back to the engineering roles. Obviously, you've got the cyberspace communication specialists. We've got the aircraft technicians. We've got two types. We've got the avionics types. They look after all the electrics on the aircraft. And then we've got the mechanics. They look after like your engines and all that sort of stuff. So the way we describe it is the avionics, they look after all the clean bits because it's all electric and electric cables. It's all clean. Whereas the mechanics, they're dealing with the engines, which is always got oil, fuel, and all the dirty stuff. So that we call them, that they look after the dirty side of the aircraft. Alongside them, we have ground electrics. So they'll look after the ground power units, the batteries, and all that sort of stuff to make sure that when the planes are on the ground, they're getting power supplied to them, because to run a jet on the ground with their engines will burn a lot of fuel, and whereas we can plug them into a ground power unit and it's a lot cheaper to do it, and there's a lot less damage getting onto the engine. Alongside them, we have ground mechanics. So these will be your general vehicle mechanics. They'll look after all of our vehicles, from our refueling trucks, our cars that we drive around, buses, trucks, all that sort of stuff. Our vehicle mechanics will look after that side. So the other type of technicians we've got is what we call the Squippers. These are the specialist fitters. They will repair the ejector seat, the parachutes, the dinghies on the larger aircraft. So all that specialist equipment to help survival equipment, they will be the ones that look after that. They'll repair it and do the general maintenance to make sure it's all good to go. So if we were ever to need it, it's there ready in good condition. Other than that, we've got our weapon technicians. They will look after all our weapon systems, from our personal pistols, rifles, machine guns, all the way up to the bombs and rockets, the flares that go onto the aircraft. So anything that's got explosives in, our weapons technicians will obviously look after that side. Obviously, explosive, they don't last forever. So a fun part of their job is every now and again, once explosives come to the end of life, they have to take it to a secure area and detonate it. So yeah, they get to maintain it and install it, but they also do get to blow it up at times. So that's our sort of engineering fields covered. We'll move on to force protection. Within force protection, you've got the police, which I've already spoke about. You've got our RAF regiment, which is the infantry of the Royal Air Force. These are our ground fighting unit. They are the ground fighting specialists. So yes, the army have the infantry and they are ground fighting specialists, but the regiment, they will be our ground fighting unit. They will look after the airfield and all of the surrounding area to make sure our jets are secure wherever they are. Alongside them, there will be police who are security experts. who'll be giving advice on make sure that we've got the correct fencing, the correct entry points, correct amount of people guarding it, and we've got the correct weapon systems being used to guard it. Because we have moved on, we don't just use rifles and personnel. We do have drones that we use to fly around, because with a drone you cover a lot bigger area, it's a lot quicker, and you can see a lot more from a higher advantage point. Other than that, so we have Oreo Firefighters as well. Obviously, our firefighters are slightly different to your normal firefighters. All our firefighters are specialists in how to put out a fire on board an aircraft. They will do your general firefighter duties as well, so they can put out building fires, vehicle fires, but they are specialists to put out airplane fires, how to deal with bulk fuel fires and all that sort of stuff. So they are slightly higher trained than your normal firefighter that you'll see in your local areas, but they get the same training, so they are able to transition into your general fire force once they leave the Air Force. So moving on from that, we'll look at the medical side now. As we are the Air Force, we do go around the world. Often we have to set up a base overseas, and when we're there, we need to make sure we can set up our own base and that we are self-sufficient. So within the medical fields, we have our own doctors, our own dentists, our own nurses, we have medics. So if you are sort of wanting to go down the medical route, have a look on our website at the different roles. We're the only place in England that will pay for you to go to university to become a nurse. Not only will we pay for the course, but we'll pay you a wage. It's at the moment, it's £18,000 a year. To be a nurse for us, to get onto the student nurse course, you do have to have a minimum of 2 A levels at grade C and above, or grade 4 and above if it's changed over by the time you finished A levels, and 5 GCSEs, grade 4 and above as well. Oh, there's a question come in. How hard is the initial fitness test? How fit do I need to be if I join at 16? Okay, Sarah, the fitness test, it's not hard, but it will be for some people. Everyone is different. So I'm not going to say it's easy, because everyone's fitness standard is different. But what I'd suggest is if you jump on our website, there's a training program on there called Fit for Action. It's a 12-week training program. Download that, give that a go, see how you get on. If you find you're struggling with it, just run through it a second time. That program has been designed so you can get to the fitness standard that we require you at entry point. The benefit of that program is you don't need to be a gym member. You don't need any sort of specialist equipment. All you need is yourself, a space on the floor where you could do your press ups, sit ups, and other exercises, and a pair of running trainers so you go running outside. The reason we've kept it that simple is because not everyone's got the advantage of being able to get to a gym. And the other thing is, not everyone wants to go to the gym. So we've designed it. Well, I haven't designed it. We've had physical training instructors design it, and it is, in my opinion, it's very good. It helps a lot of people out. However, what I would say is, if you can get to a gym, just jump on our website, find your fitness standard. Without knowing your age, I can't give you your specifics, but find your fitness standard and give it a go in the gym. Have a practice on the treadmill, do the mile and a half. If you're female, you'll be looking around the 30-minute mark. I think it's 30 minutes 26 if you're a 16-year-old female, but double check with our website. Once you finish the run, give yourself a minute break, do a minute of press ups, a minute break, a minute of sit ups. See how you do. If you're hitting 20 press ups and 35 sit ups, you're getting more than enough, and you'll be comfortably able to pass our fitness exam. But yeah, with fitness, I definitely recommend jump on our website and download the Fit for Action booklet. With that training program, it's not there where you're doing something every day. There are rest days in there, and it has, like I said, it's been designed by professionals to make sure that you're going to improve and develop through the 12 weeks. It's not straight away going to be hard. You may find the first couple of weeks are easy, but what I'll say is just stick with it, and you'll get there with it. you'll hit a point where you're starting to struggle or you find it a bit difficult. Stick with it and just keep motivating yourself and keep doing it. If you do fail at parts, just step back a week, come back a week in the training program and go again. Not everyone's going to be able to go through that program and breeze it straight through. Some people will, some people won't. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question, and I'll get back to talk about the various trades. So yeah, covered the medical there. Now we'll talk about the logistics side. We have our own drivers. They'll drive all sorts of vehicles from your car all the way up to your HGV and coaches. We have our suppliers. They're the guys who make sure that we've got the equipment at the unit that we need. So they will order in everything from our clothing to our specialist kit that we need. Absolutely anything we need, they'll order it in. Then it's the job of the movers to make sure it is in the right location. So say if we need specialist hot climate clothing sent out to our base in Cyprus, and we've got it located in, well, I'll say Bryce Norton because that is our main air hub. It's the mover's job to ensure that it gets from the supply guys onto the correct aircraft, out to Cyprus, and to the guys that require it. They will quite often travel on the aircraft with it, so they can load and unload off the aircraft. But yeah, so wherever we go in the world, you'll generally find movers are traveling with it. So it's quite a good role. If you wanted to do a bit of world travel, it's quite a good role to get that in there as well. So I've covered your supply, I've covered your movers, I've covered your drivers. But alongside these, on the back of the aircraft, we've got our, they're called Loadmasters. So they're your individuals who are responsible for that back end of that aircraft. So anything that goes on there, anything that the movers put on, whether it's people, equipment, absolutely anything, whether it's vehicles, the Loadmaster will be the person who looks at it, make sure it's okay, make sure it's strapped in correctly, make sure the plane's balanced right, because if you put too much weight at the back of the aircraft, it won't take off, it'll just hit the floor. If you put too much at the front, it won't be able to take off because it will just always be one nose pointing down. So they're there to make sure that the weight's distributed evenly and the aircraft is safe to take off. So we covered that side. Obviously, we do have pilots. With us, you don't need a degree to be a pilot. All you need is 2 A levels, grade C and above, and 5 GCSEs, grade 4 and above. If you've got them and you're over 18, you can apply to be a pilot. You don't have to pay for anything towards the training with us to be a pilot, and we will pay you a wage if that is something that you want to do. We also do have some really niche jobs as well. So if you wanted to be a musician and you could play, I don't know, any sort of band instrument, so like clarinet, we even have cello, violinists. Jump on our website, you'll see the range of instruments. If you could play any of them to a very good standard and have been graded, have a look at the different roles, have a look at this for a musician. You do have to go for a specialist interview with our musicians to make sure that you can play to the standard that is required. But it's a career where you literally get paid to just go around the world and play music. I'll admit they're not traveling around the world because of COVID. However, they will get back to that because that is what they do. They go around the world and perform. And the reason we have this band is because it's a good selling point. It's a good way to show that we're not just evil people. We're not just a fighting force. Our first priority is to protect the UK and its airspace. But our second priority is humanitarian missions to help other countries that get into trouble. There is just a question, bear with me. How much moving house do you do? So Virginia, it depends really. It's down to you as an individual. When you once you get in, you will manage your own career. So you can stay at a unit for up to 5 years. If you want to move sooner, you can, or if you want to stay for the full 5 years, you can. It is up to you what you do. So in general, if you didn't really want to move around much and you only wanted to do your minimum of 12 years, you'll do your phase 1 training, your phase 2 training, and then probably 2 postings. So you'll only go to 4 different locations. And obviously the first 3 moves are all going to be within your first 2 years. So we don't move that around too often, but you can if you want. So for me, I like to move around every 2 years. I just like new challenges and to just build my skill sets in different areas. So I've been lucky. Did 2 years in Northern Ireland, 2 years in Cyprus. I did 4 years down at Henlow, which is just outside London, but it was in 2 different roles, just so I got that different experience. I did 2 years up at Stoke Career Office as a recruiter. I did 2 years at Bryce Norton, where I was doing aviation security. And then now I'm been at Birmingham Career Office for a year, and I'm the specialist outreach sergeant. So in 15 years, I have moved around quite a bit. Oh, and I did 2 years at Costard as well. I forgot about that. Yeah, so I have moved around quite a bit, but I've chose to. I enjoy the new challenge. I enjoy the being able to move around, be able to visit different locations, just and explore different areas. So yeah, sorry I can't be a bit more precise. But if you wanted to stay somewhere, you do have the option to stay there up to 5 years. And sometimes, if, for instance, you've got children that are in an important school year, you can extend to ensure that you're not disrupting your children, your family too much as well. Cool. Cheers. Thank you for that, Virginia. Okay, so, oh yeah, I was talking about niche jobs, wasn't I? So we also have our own lawyers. To be a lawyer in the Air Force, you do have to be qualified. So you do have to have been to uni and got qualified. We do have our own padres, imams, whatever religion you are, we do have a head of that religion in the Air Force. So if that is a career that you want to do, whether it's become an imam, become a priest, we do employ our own. The reason we have our own is because we do have people in the Air Force that follow different religions, and with obviously linked to what Virginia asked, with us having to move around to different locations, it's not always easy to go and find where your local faith establishment is. So by having them in-house, all we need to do is know where our faith centre is on our unit, and we can then go there and continue to practice our faith, whether it's Christianity, Muslim, whatever religion you want. My mind's gone blank there. So yeah, so I've talked about the what we covered there. I've talked about our priests, I've talked about our lawyers, I've talked about our musicians. We also have our own photographers as well. They get paid to take pictures. They'll get to travel the world, go to different locations, to take pictures. A lot of the pictures that they take will end up in your news, so whether it's your local news, your national news, so BBC News and stuff like that. The reason we have our own photographers is we can't always take press to some of the locations we go to. So I went to Mozambique March last year. It was after Cyclone Idai hit. Because we didn't know what was happening on the ground, we didn't know how safe the airfield was we were landing at, we couldn't take any civilian personnel. We had to go in armed because we didn't know what the risks were when we were landing. So we had to take one of our own photographers. The reason we use our own is because they've been trained to a level to be able to defend themselves if required. So they can act if we need to defend the aircraft and our people, they are able to assist in that mission. Whereas your general newspaper photographer, they will not be able to. They will become a hindrance on the mission. Fortunately, when we did go into Mozambique, although the airport wasn't up and running fully, we were able to land. It was all safe. There was people on the ground to help us to unload all the aid materials that we took. And it was all made sure that it went to the right people so they could then distribute to the people in need. So for aid missions like that, we'll take your shelters, food, water, and even solar systems, just to give them a good place so they can start to rebuild. Unfortunately, we don't always get to enjoy a lot of time on the ground in places. So for that, because the airport wasn't that safe, we literally had to land, unload, and then take off to go back to a secure airport. So yeah, so we don't always get to explore where we've landed, but a lot of the time we'll get a night or a couple of days where we are. So you do get a bit of downtime. Depending what country you're in, depends on what you can do. Obviously, if we're going to countries like Afghanistan, you generally will be confined to the base, so you probably wouldn't want to explore any further than that anyway. However, when we go to places such as America, Australia, and a lot of Europe, you'll be accommodated more likely in a hotel, and you can allowed to go and explore the local area around the hotel. I think I've been talking for the full half there, haven't I?
You have, yeah. That's been absolutely fantastic.
What I will finish on is, if you do have any questions, just jump on our website, jump on Google, just search RAF careers, load of information on there. If you do have any questions after this, just get in contact with your local career office. Around the Shropshire way, you can either contact the Birmingham office, the Shrewsbury office, or the Stoke office, and just give us a ring and speak to us. But thank you for having me, and good luck.